It is time for one last look at your traffic and weather from the Wetzel's Automotive Traffic Center. On your Thursday here on the game, got a couple accidents to report. Garner's Ferry near Hallbrook. Another one at I-77 southbound before Blythewood Road. There is some flooding in that area near exit number 27. And then an accident at Broad River Road near Seminole. Today, rain off and on, high of 81. Tomorrow, sunshine with 92. And some afternoon thunderstorms rolling in on Saturday with a high of 93 degrees. That is your traffic and weather from the Wetzel's Automotive Traffic Center on your Thursday here on the game. Oh, 9 o'clock on your Thursday morning. Welcome in. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Veltri along with you here. Jack finally back in studio for the first time this week. Always good to talk to you, but even better when you're actually here physically across from me.
Yeah, I am just shocked I'm here because I forgot to tell you last night. I pulled a Captain Dave. I did not go to a concert.
Okay.
I went to Atlanta yesterday.
You went to Atlanta, okay.
Went to Atlanta last night. I went to the Braves game.
You did?
Yeah.
Okay. Wow. What time did you get back?
Oh, so we left around 2:30 in the afternoon.
Okay.
So got there probably about like 6:30.
Yeah.
Game didn't start till about 8:30 because of the
rain
weather.
delay,
Yeah.
that's right.
Yeah, so they had the tarp on the field.
Oh my
Game
goodness.
probably didn't end till like 11:30. We got back, I believe, like 3:15.
Oh my goodness. Wow.
I know. I did not. So I did drive, which also makes me feel like I feel like I'm waking up like a zombie this morning.
Oh, geez.
But
I appreciate you going through the effort of being here.
Yeah. No, most definitely. But luckily, my buddy drove the last 2 hours last night. But then when I woke up in the car right before we got back.
Was this like a spur of the moment thing?
So we had planned this out. We had talked about it for about a month because it was Jordan from the state.
Yeah.
So, he's a big Diamondbacks fan. So we decided.
I didn't know that. Well, he's from Boise, right?
Yeah, he's from Arizona.
He was in Boise before.
Yeah. So he worked in Boise for a bit.
Gotcha.
Where was I anyway? Oh yeah, so Diamondbacks. Yeah. So we had talked about it for a bit. I thought we were gonna go to the game that is played today because it's at noon.
Yeah.
Just go to a day game and whatnot. He texts me the other day randomly on like Monday or whatever. He's like, "Hey man, what are you doing on Wednesday?" I'm like, "I don't know, like nothing." And he's like, "Oh, you want to go to the Braves game?" I'm like, "Oh, I forgot we were doing that," and he forgot too.
Oh man,
yeah, let's do it. So yeah, we went, and then we met up with a good friend of 107.5 here. We met up with Alan Cole. So
nice, very cool.
because he lives like, I want to say like 30 minutes from Truist Park.
Okay.
Now that he's back out in Georgia, so
that's right. He did just recently leave. I forgot about that.
Trying to get back on his feet with a new job, so hopefully he does. But
now, is he originally from that area?
Yeah.
Okay,
so he's from that area. So yeah, so we
very cool.
It all came together very randomly yesterday. Like I texted Alan like in the afternoon yesterday. I'm like, "Hey man, you wanna come to this game?" And he's like, "Dude, absolutely."
Wow. Okay.
I know. Now
fun adventure.
Oh yeah, absolutely. Now, let me be quite honest.
All right.
I think Braves fans need to hear this.
Yeah.
And I was texting with Wes last night, who's arguably the biggest Braves fan I've met.
Yep.
This offense sucks. I mean, it is terrible how bad they are.
There is no better microcosm for the season than what happened in the bottom of the eighth. When they intentionally walk Acuna to load the bases, to bring up Austin Riley, who proceeds to strike out, and they get no runs out of it.
I mean, and this is Austin Riley we're talking about. I have not watched much Braves this year, but I thought this guy was good.
He's up and down.
Yeah.
He ebbs and flows. He's struggling a lot in the field right now. He's committed a ton of errors this season.
It's insane. You know who's really, really bad? And this was the guy who ended the game last night. Michael Harris is awful.
Yeah, and he struck out right before they walked Acuna in the 8th last
That's
night.
right.
Just 2 bad at bats there in the 8th and the 9th inning. And yeah, and again, people love him because he's a hometown kid from Stockbridge, but he is a lot of guys in this team are struggling. But Harris is definitely one of the more noticeable ones.
Yeah. But other than that, other than the Braves offense being as bad as it was, Chris Sale was pretty good last night besides the walks.
It's almost like you're in this you remember when DeGrom with the Mets was lights out, but they kept losing games like 1-0 or 2-1. That's kind of what you're having right now with like a guy like Sale, really good pitcher. Strider is working his way back, coming back for his injury. He's not at 100% yet. He even says he doesn't have all his stuff, but there is nothing like it's one thing to lose a shootout game like 10-9 or something like that, but when you know you have the pitching for the most part, again, the bullpen struggled at times as well, but they've done a really good job as of late of keeping, for most of their opponents, to relatively low numbers, and you just don't have the hitting at all to even make you remotely competitive. I think they've lost more one-run games than anybody this year.
I mean, I thought they should have won that game last night. Like, yes, the Diamondbacks got enough timely hits, I guess, but like, it's not like they were head and shoulders better last night. And I mean, the Braves were getting no hit going to the 6th.
Yep.
So, you know, when I hear you guys on the beat complain so much about how bad the Braves stink, I don't want to believe it because I'm like, oh, they're like a few games under 500. They'll be fine.
The
I
offense
believe
is
it.
terrible. The pitching, again,
awful.
as a whole, is not great. It's not looking like a fun season right now. And again, you're not even at the All-Star break, so still a lot more baseball to watch, unfortunately.
Got Freddie Gonzalez back though.
Yeah, that whole thing, is a wild situation, and the debate is, is he like a co-manager? Is he just there to coach third base? The way I understand it, he's just there to coach third base, but you know, they're talking about Snicker maybe being done after this year. So do you go back to Freddie after that? I don't know. It's a mess.
You know what the answer should be? They should have never gotten rid of him. Wash.
See,
Ron Washington.
You're not supposed to talk about third base coaches. Third base coaches are just supposed to be out there doing their job, and the only time you talk about them is when they mess up.
Exactly.
And that's what happened with Matt Tuiasosopo, which is why he got demoted back down to the to the minors. But man, Wash had his windmill, his own personality out there at third base that made people love him so much. And he was very well missed when he left for the Angels. And now even more missed when you're having base running gaffes left and right.
So many issues, and in the field too. I mean, the guy does it all. So anyway, it was fun last night.
I'm glad you had fun.
Yeah,
I'm glad you got back here and
ready to talk about a real baseball team.
Is it a real baseball team? That's the debate, because we're talking about the Braves struggling, but I would say that the Gamecocks struggled about tenfold compared to what the Braves are doing right now.
Yeah, I would agree with that. Nice little humor to get the morning going.
We'll get into that right after our 9 a.m. Sandstorm pick me up.
Time to get hyped.
Here's your 9 a.m. Sandstorm.
Sponsored by George Sink Injury Lawyers. Just call all nines.
It is time for your 9 a.m. Sandstorm Pick Me Up, brought to you by South Carolina's largest injury law firm, George Sink Injury Lawyers. If you've been hurt in the car or at work, call George Sink now at 803-ALL-9s. You're not a caffeine guy either, right? So you're running off of just whatever small amount of sleep you have.
That was the other thing last night. Jordan, we got gas, and I was already feeling pretty tired. And he's like walking to the convenience store, the gas station. And he's like double fisting 2 energy drinks.
Nice.
And he's like, you're drinking some of this, and I'm like, dude, no, I don't drink that garbage. So, I mean, I had a Gatorade and some like peanut butter M&Ms to kind of get me through the rest of the way.
Peanut butter M&Ms are good, man.
Oh, dude, they are so good.
Peanut butter M&Ms are what I wish Reese's Pieces were. Because Reese's Pieces don't have chocolate; it's all peanut butter.
Yeah,
like that peanut butter to chocolate is just. Peanut butter M&M's phenomenal.
Oh my gosh, I could talk about that all day. But then just randomly, he just decides to like telling me, like, hey, man, just pull off. I'll take over for like 45 minutes. And then that turned into the rest of the drive. So, but we only had like an hour 45 left when that happened. Anyway.
Well, and you're also sticking around for 11 as well.
That's right.
So
yeah.
if you do you need a place to like power nap for 10 o'clock?
Shoot, can I just sleep under the desk?
Honestly,
here?
if you want to, I don't care. That's fine with me.
Do you have anyone coming in between that?
We're re-racking some of the Garnet Trust interviews from a little bit earlier on in the spring. So
Nice.
when Wes sat down with Tree Tro and Jordan Dingle, so you hear that again coming up at 10. So
Nice.
if you want a nap, go right ahead.
I might have to take you up on that.
Speaking of baseball, since we're on the topic, did get some more news yesterday in terms of the Gamecocks of what the 2026 team's going to look like. Parker Marlott returning for next season as he adds to what is a growing pitching staff as of right now. And he, again, was kind of one of the few bright spots on this pitching staff that, again, as a whole was not great. But you look at Marlott and say, okay, there's potential there.
Oh, absolutely. I mean, the 4.18 ERA, which was, by the way, the team best in terms of individual ERAs on staff last year this past season. So he was very solid this year. Don't let that ERA being over 4 fool you. I mean, I think it was well under 4 going into the last game of the year, the SEC tournament. And unsurprisingly, he's brought in with the game out of hand, and it's kind of like, why are you bringing in your top reliever at this juncture of the game? But that's how it was all year. Because me personally, quite frankly, he was totally mismanaged this year. The usage for him was totally out of line, out of place this year. Being brought up in, I remember the Winthrop game, the one that they almost lost.
Yep.
And he's warming up in like the 8th inning. It's like it was when they were losing 5-1. And you're just like sitting there, you're like, why is he warming up right now? Why was he not warming up when maybe this game was closer or whatever? And it ended up working out because South Carolina scored all those runs, came back and won, and he was able to get the save. But like at the time, you're like, whoa, that's kind of how it was all year.
Yeah.
So to have him back, it's a big deal for one. I mean, we'll see what kind of role he pitches in this upcoming season or next year in 2026. Definitely going to be high leverage, though. I mean, he's a really solid reliever. He did this last year many times. I remember the Kentucky game, the SEC tournament, pitching some really good baseball. So he's going to be a huge piece next year.
Also added another one out of the transfer portal, this from USC Upstate, and Amp Phillips, which is the early contender for Name of the Year. I feel like your name is Amp. You better be a good player.
Oh, and he's great. I mean, this might be the best pickup South Carolina's had without question so far. I mean, this guy, just because he's from a mid-major school, does not tell the full story. Again, like, there is so much good coming out of this. So he pitched at USC Upstate last year. Before that, spent 2 years at SMC, Spartanburg Methodist College, for the local people in the state. This past season, I keep getting that confused. What point do we kind of say, like, last season?
I feel like once the College World Series is over, we can say last season. That will pertain to 2025.
Yeah. All right, so this season. So 20 appearances. He was pitching out of the bullpen at the beginning of the year, and then he got put into the rotation like mid-March, made 12 starts this year. 7-2, 3.64 ERA across 84 innings, struck out 81 batters, 29 walks. He did pitch a complete game shutout. A 4-hit shutout on May 22nd against Winthrop, coincidentally. And then get this, the part that Gamecock fans are going to love. He pitched 6 really good innings against Clemson in the regional last week. So this guy, he's proven he can do it. He's going to be a really nice add to this pitching staff, and I would fully expect him to be contending to be the opening day starter next season.
So just by count, make sure I get this right, pitching staff as of now, McCoy, Palmer, Susie, Gregory from ULM, Marlott, and now Phillips. Am I leaving anybody out there?
I think you got everyone.
Okay, still waiting on like Brandon Stone.
Still waiting on Stone. Still waiting on Crowther potentially. Again, some of these guys that we're talking about here are draft eligible, so it may not be as cut and dry as like, okay, yes, they could probably enter the portal still if they wanted to, but they could also come back. But then again, they have the option of going to the draft or getting picked in the draft and taking that offer. So we'll see. But it's some nice pieces are being added so far.
And again, got to hope that the coaching staff reassesses how they did things
Develop.
this year and chooses a different way of developing and practicing with these guys to make 2026 better. But again, you see promise from a guy like Marlott, this past year, and hopefully that translates to a better season in 2026.
Yeah, absolutely. Hey, use TrackMan.
Please, for the love of God, use it. Everybody else is. I want to dive back into the Tom Thibodeau firing that happened the other day. I don't think you and I really got to talk about it, but I feel like what we've seen in the NBA is something that could trickle its way into college football very, very quickly. I'll discuss that coming up next. It is the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Beltry along with you on your Thursday on the Game.
Everyone knows that AAA Heating and Air has the best HVAC replacement options in the Midlands with their guaranteed financing, no payments or interest for 12 months, and a 15-year parts and labor warranty. They're hard to beat when you need a new system, but did you know they also have great deals for repairs? That's right. If your system is broken and you're strapped for cash, AAA Heating and Air can still help. They'll get your repairs done with payment options for up to 12 months and no credit check required. So if you're the homeowner, all you need is a valid bank account. That's it. That's all you need. So don't wait. Call AAA Heating and Air today and get your comfort back on track. AAA Heating and Air. Comfort you can trust.
Welcome back in. It is the Extra Point. Tyrod and Jack Belcher with you on your Thursday here on the game. Of course, the NBA Finals get underway tonight with Indiana visiting OKC for game number 1. But the news of the week obviously revolving around New York Knicks firing head coach Tom Thibodeau after losing the Eastern Conference Finals, a place they had not been to in 25 years. Back-to-back 50-plus winning seasons. It seemed like they were on the cusp of maybe getting themselves to the finals, and now they're back to square one. At once comes their head coach. A lot of debate back and forth on if this was the right choice or not. Where do you kind of fall on this?
So I know we briefly touched on it the other day at the end of our 12 to 3 show on Tuesday, but, kind of thinking about it a little bit more now. I mean, I can't even remember. I think I initially had some other thoughts on it, but I think looking back on it really, really now, I mean, look, I think it's kind of crazy to fire a guy that took the Knicks to the Eastern Conference Finals for the first time in like 25 years.
Yep.
Won 50-plus games this year. I mean, look, obviously there are some reported internal things going on with players and stuff, and that might have a big part to do with it. But when you talk about on-court success and stuff, I mean, like the Knicks are getting the job done. I mean, they beat the defending champs in 6 games. I mean, they took care of business against the Celtics and just ran into a Pacers team that was, quite frankly, a bit better. So I disagree with Tibbs getting fired here.
You bring up the point of players maybe not gelling with what Tibbs was doing, and he's been with the Knicks for 5 years. I looked this up yesterday. The average tenure of an NBA coach right now is 2.5 seasons. Now, before Greg Popovich got retired, that number was obviously a lot higher, and you have guys like Eric Spoelstra and Steve Kerr that are pulling it in that direction a little bit as well, because they're the only coaches prior to getting hired in their spots since 2020 to still be there. So the life cycle of an NBA coach at a respective stop is very, very short, and a lot of that has to do with the amount of control that players have over who's coaching their teams. Again, you can have a guy like LeBron look at and say, yeah, I don't like this guy. It's either him or me. And guess what? They're going to side with LeBron. That happens so many times across the league, which is why so many of these coaches get canned so quickly.
And I almost wonder, like, who on the Knicks actually has that much power to command, like, hey.
Jalen Brunson.
Yeah.
His dad's also an assistant on the team.
Yeah. Which
as long as he's like, hey, as long as my dad's not getting fired.
Yeah. So I honestly did not realize that until last night seeing that. So, look, I just think it's kind of just, I mean, look, LeBron having that much power to help make a decision like that, or to actually just make the decision like that.
Yeah.
Not surprising, but I mean, look, if it really is like the overwhelming majority, if it's like Cat, Mikal Bridges, I mean, players like that are just not happy with Tibbs, then sure. Like, a change might be necessary.
And here's my thing, because, again, this has been around the NBA for a long time, with players having this kind of control where coaches can get fired based on a player's opinion of them. I feel like this is something that might be trickling its way into college football, because we're now in the NIL era where players have more power than ever. They are getting paid tons and tons of money, in a lot of cases more than some of the coaches, right? And I don't think this is something that we would ever see from a head coaching standpoint necessarily, but I definitely think coordinators, if a player is not gelling with the coordinator and they have to pick between the two, I definitely could see the coordinator getting canned based on a superstar's player's opinion of them. But here's my example of this. So let's think about this, right? Bryce Underwood's at Michigan, right? Mm-hmm. This year, freshman year, 5-star kid, getting paid millions and millions of dollars to be there and be the savior of Michigan football to get them back to a national championship level. Chip Lindsey's coming over as the offensive coordinator. First year there. Again, I'm assuming those guys have a good relationship right now. Let's say Bryce Underwood has a good season but not a great season in 2025, and he believes that Chip Lindsey is holding him back. And he goes to, Sharon Moore, the powers that be Michigan, says, hey, I don't like Chip Lindsey's offensive coordinator. It's either him or me. Who are they going to pick? Of course, they're going to pick Bryce Underwood. Like, this is a very real thing that I think could be happening in college football as soon as this year, possibly.
I mean, look, if that's actually, like, legitimately the case this season, like, hypothetically, if something like that actually were to happen, yes, I would be fully in agreement with you that, yes, this is something that could become the new reality of college football, because unlike all the professional leagues that, yes, you get one-year deals every now and then, but most guys are signed to good contracts and stuff. And in the NBA, for instance, where a lot of the guys are under these multiple year deals, they're asking for trade requests.
Yep.
So with college football here, it's basically, I mean, Bryce Underwood, isn't Bryce Underwood signed to a multi?
He is.
Yeah.
It's, and again, these numbers aren't public, but it's either, depending on where you read, between $10.5 and $12 million for a multi-year deal at Michigan. And whether that's 3 or 4 years, you can break that down somewhere between $2.5 to about $4 million per season.
But the college football guys, the players, they have a lot of power because they're not signed to max deals. Like
No, they're not.
They are year-to-year players that can easily just pick up and leave whenever they want. And I'm sure Bryce Underwood could do the same exact thing. So they have the power is really in their hands, and the coaches are kind of left at a crossroads of, you're picking the player 9 times out of 10 in these situations.
And again, I'm not saying this is going to happen at Michigan this year or any year for that matter, but that's kind of an example that sticks out to me because, again, Bryce Underwood has not played a single snap of college football, and he's getting paid more than probably 99% of the other athletes across the 135 plus schools now at the FBS level. So they're putting a lot of eggs in his basket. Chip Lindsey, again, bringing as the offensive coordinator that they think is going to get the most out of him. But if it doesn't happen, because again, we see quarterbacks and offensive coordinators butt heads a lot. And if it came to a hypothetical situation where they weren't seeing eye to eye and Bryce Underwood says, I don't think it's in my best interest to be coached by this guy anymore, they would show him the door immediately because they're going to hang on to Bryce Underwood.
Yeah, I mean, this is the first year with Chip Lindsey as the offensive coordinator. So it's like it makes a lot of sense just to move on if that's the case. And again, we're not speaking it into existence here, but you hope this doesn't happen. But it's very much the reality of college football here is that the players have so much power in their hands because, I mean, if you're a star quarterback or just a star player in general, or just a player, honestly, that's pretty good, you can leave whenever you want. You can leave after the season, and there's not much the coaches can do about it other than just offer you more NIL money and all that. But obviously, it's one of those things where the power is really in their hands.
So, as I mentioned, in the NBA, coaching tenures average about 2.5 years, which is third out of the major 4 leagues. It's under 2 in the NHL, which I'd never seen this before, but the article I was reading said the NHL stands for not here long when it comes to a lot of these coaches, which I thought was, really, really funny, like the NFL standing for not for long. But the NBA has a lot of turnover very quickly based on its coaching hires. College football is kind of getting to that point as well. Their number is not that much higher. I'll tell you about that coming up next, as well as see if we can project how many current SEC coaches will still be at their respective schools by the time 2030 rolls around. We'll talk about that next. X Point, Tyler Head and Jack Beltry, along with you on your Thursday here on The Game. Welcome back in. Extra Point. Sourhead Jack Beltry with you on your Thursday. Here on the game, talking coaches, hirings, firings, and everything in between. As I mentioned, the NBA total tenure for coaches is pretty low, average of 2.5 seasons. College football, not all that much higher, 3.8 the average as of right now, and I feel like that number can continue to go down as the years go by. As in today's era of transfer portal and all that kind of stuff, you're expected to be able to reset your roster pretty quickly and have success quickly compared to years past where it's like, okay, we'll wait a couple recruiting cycles where we kind of find out what this coach is really like and what he can really do.
Oh, yeah. I mean, look, there's such a demand, especially in a conference like the SEC or the Big Ten, where success is imminent. You have to have it right away, especially if you're taking over a program that is in good hands. We've seen that around college football, and now the discussions come up. Okay, well, you underperformed this past year. What's it going to be like this season? It's got to be better. So we do see that demand of not having much patience across the sport.
So, again, just under a tick under 4 years, the average tenure of a college football head coach. So I feel like, given the fact that it's 2025, a perfect opportunity to look ahead, and we'll make it a nice round number of 2030 instead of 2029. How many coaches might still be coaching at their respective schools in the SEC 5 years from now? Do you want to take a guess at how many current coaches in the SEC were still at their schools back in 2020? And again, only 14 teams in the league at that point in time, so that doesn't count. Sark, it doesn't count Oklahoma and Texas.
It's very limited. It's at least 7?
5.
5, okay.
So Sam Pittman was still at Arkansas in his first season. Of course, Kirby at Georgia. Mark Stoops, who's the longest tenured coach in the SEC right now, at Kentucky. You got Eli Drinkwitz at Missouri, and then Lane Kiffin at Ole Miss, both going into their first seasons there.
Gee. You want to go down the list and see who's going to be here by... I think this could be fun. Go down the list.
By the way, I detailed this by age. Is there anybody that surprises you how young or old they are? Because there's a few on this list that I'm like, really?
Not, Clark Lee only being 43 is a little surprising.
Napier's only 45. He looks a lot older than that.
He looks very old.
Mike Elko looks like he could be 60, for being honest with you.
Honestly. And
the fact that Kiffin's older than, like, Smart, Beamer, DeBoer, all these guys, that's surprising.
Kiffin's been around for a while, though.
Let's be honest, he's probably had some work done.
Yeah, he probably has.
So none of those, like, really shocking to you, age-wise?
Jeff Levy being 41 is a little bit, I guess, but
I feel like he kind of looks like it. And again, he's a young head. He's a new head coach.
Yeah, that's a good point. But yeah, Elko's the big one though.
Drink's also 42. I feel like he should be a little bit older than that.
Yeah, he still looks young.
He also still looks like a child in the same way.
Yeah, he acts like a child too. So
let's go down the list here again. We're projecting out in the year 2030 how many of these coaches will still be at their respective schools. Again, they might still be in the SEC, but I'm not saying if they go to a different school. If they're still at the school they're at right now as the head coach. Just going to go in order here by age. Jeff Levy, who is 41, entering his second season at Mississippi State right now.
No, I don't think he will be there because Mississippi State is a program that football, I feel like, is their least priority right now because you see what they're going to be investing into that. You see what they're doing in men's basketball.
Yep.
Putting a good product on the floor. You obviously don't want to fall behind, or you don't want to fall too far behind in football, but it's like this is a program that needs a lot of work, and I don't know if it's going to be fixed this year, maybe not next year, and by that point, it's like, how much patience do you have left?
Yeah, I feel like Mississippi State's going to kind of fall into that cycle that Vanderbilt was in for a while. It's like, all right, we'll hire somebody. We'll give him a couple of years. Program hasn't really gotten that much better. We'll fire and move on to somebody else. Like, Leach had them in a really good spot. And again, putting Arnett in the position to be the head coach 2 seasons ago obviously was a big mistake. I don't know, especially in today's world, as these other schools kind of get away from them. I don't know if Mississippi State can really catch up. And I don't know if Levy's going to last all that long.
Yeah, and for those reasons, it just makes a lot of sense. If we're talking about by the end of the decade, if they're still going to be here, I just don't see a way in which he is.
All right, Eli Drinkwitz coming off of multiple 10-win seasons. South Carolina finally got one over on him last year. Is he still at Missouri in 2030?
I'm going to be honest. I don't think so.
Okay.
Because, number one, he's had a lot of success since coming to Missouri. But I think there's 2 ways this goes. What are the expectations at Missouri? Let's be honest. What have we really talked about what the expectations are? Because it doesn't seem like they're going to be as good this year.
Right.
And so, what does that mean? Is Missouri okay with being a 7-8 win team, or do they expect to be 10, 11, 12 wins every single year, contending for the playoff? Or let's say Missouri continues to do very well. Is there a better job out there for Drink? I mean, he left App after 1 year to go to Missouri. So is there a better job if, let's say, hypothetically here, just a random big-time Power 4 school that's bigger than Missouri just came calling? You don't think Drink would potentially turn that down?
So the only things I can relate to, so he's from Norman, Oklahoma. So if it ever got to a situation where, like, Venables gets fired at Oklahoma, maybe he'd want to go back home. He also spent a lot of his early coaching career in the state of Arkansas, was also the head coach, or was also the coordinator at Arkansas State for a couple years. Maybe if, Pittman gets fired at Arkansas. My question is, are those jobs more enticing than where he's at right now in Missouri? Like Oklahoma, maybe. And again, does he want to go there and have to build it back up? Because I think the fact that he's had 2 10-plus win seasons the past 2 years at Missouri, I think he can coast on that for a while. They have a very easy schedule this year in the SEC. I don't think they're going to be, terrible. I think they'll probably be around that 8-ish win mark, which I still think is acceptable out there in Missouri, given what he's done the past couple of years.
Yeah, no, it's most definitely acceptable. And I think if they had made the playoff one of the last 2 years, I think it'd be a different discussion of, okay, getting to the playoff is acceptable and anything less than that is not. But I think you are right, and it just wouldn't shock me if he's not at Missouri by 2029. But, again, he very well could be. It's just one of those things where it's either maybe Missouri has some down years and they just get rid of him, or he goes on to another school because he's had so much success at Missouri.
Clark Lee, age 43, obviously picked up one of the biggest wins in program history last year, knocking off number 1 Alabama.
I'm going to say yes.
Okay.
Because, again, the expectations at Vanderbilt are much different than any other SEC program. What they did last year was the story of the season, getting to a bowl game. I think that is more than enough for Vanderbilt. And, heck, if he does more, they're going to build a statue for that guy. I mean, we are seeing something that, Vanderbilt was not good for so many years. And they at times they were not that great last year, obviously. They had some losses in there for sure. But I think Vanderbilt surprised a lot of people. And, look, it's just one season, but I think Vanderbilt's going to be a decent, again, this year, competitive. And that's all you can ask for.
If he can keep them around bowl eligibility, I think he's going to stay around for a long time. If he starts having 1-11 seasons and going 3-9, then that's a different story. But I do think there's a very good chance he's still there in 2030.
And he's bought himself at least another 2 seasons, maybe 3.
He can coast off that Alabama win for a while, let's be honest.
So he's not going anywhere. I don't think he's going anywhere for sure for a few years.
All right, Billy Napier. Again, we didn't think he'd still be the coach this year. This time a year ago, is he the coach at Florida in 2030?
Absolutely not. I think he's probably gone. I want to say he's going to be gone after this season, but again, Florida, the schedule's tough, and that's where I think this could be an issue. But again, they have DJ Lagway, they have some good players, so I think again, he's not making it to the end of the decade, but maybe it's this year, maybe it's another year or two.
There are very few programs that come with as much pressure as being the Florida Gators head coach, where you're having to live up to a standard that Urban Meyer and Steve Spurrier set now multiple decades ago. And again, he did enough to stave off getting fired a year ago, but the program still hasn't really been that great with him. And again, he may not make it to the end of this season with how tough their schedule is going to be. So I definitely don't think there's any chance he's still there in 2030.
No, absolutely not. Now, the guy you were talking about earlier being surprised by his age, Mike Elko. A&M's also one of those programs that the bar is set so high, and there's so much money poured into this football program. And again, we don't know specifics, but obviously A&M, they're going to invest in that football program for sure.
Sure.
And A&M's never really had that. I mean, they've never been to the playoff. They've never had that level of success they're looking for. Had some opportunities last year. I don't think we're going to see Elko make it to the end of the decade.
I think he's still there. I don't know how great A&M's going to be. I do think he is a good coach. Obviously, we saw what he did at Duke prior to going back to A&M. I feel like there's a chance they could probably pop in the playoffs maybe 1 or 2 times in the next 5 years. They obviously have the resources, like you said, to recruit really well. I'm going to give him the benefit of the doubt. I think he will still be there by 2030.
I mean, he's got to recruit well, and I think he will do a good job there. But it may not be enough for A&M to feel like, yeah, we're going to bring this guy back.
How about Heupel at Tennessee?
Yes,
Yeah.
I think Heupel will be very much at Tennessee for years to come.
This is the best Tennessee's been since Phil Fulmer's been there.
Yeah.
Again, very, very passionate, rowdy fan base. I don't think he's going to go anywhere in the next 5 years.
Now, hold on. One thing, though, with that.
Okay.
Now, we mentioned the Oklahoma job earlier. Yeah, he did play at Oklahoma. He did coach there.
He did.
So if that job became open,
he gets asked about that a lot.
That is the one outlier I would say to this. Otherwise, it would not be Tennessee getting rid of him.
Yeah,
So.
no, I don't think Tennessee's going to move on from him. Last one here before we hit the break, and then we'll wrap up the rest of them. Beamer, South Carolina, still the coach in 2030?
Yes. I would say yes. Unbiasedly, I would just say yes. Just objectively speaking, I think he's going to do enough good here, and he's still young enough to where it's like, yeah, he's going to be leading this program for definitely well into the 2030s.
And look, they're going to play him in week 1. I don't think Brent Pry is going to last very long at Virginia Tech.
No.
If Coach Beamer does not leave South Carolina for Virginia Tech the next time they have a coach opening, which is likely to be very, very soon, then I think he's here for the long haul. Like, that's the only thing, again, given the connection, that I think would entice him to leave South Carolina, which I don't think it's going to. If he can survive that, then I think he's going to be here for a long, long time.
Yeah, or unless he has some really, really rough years, which I don't expect to happen since South Carolina's a program on the rise. Like, yeah, he's going to definitely be here well past 2029, I think.
We'll look at the rest of the SEC and determine who's going to be at their respective schools by 2030. Coming up next is wrap up hour number 1 of the Extra Point. Tyler Head and Jack Feltry on your Thursday on the game.
Up into the air from Gaskin.
Welcome back in. Extra Point. Tyler Head, Jack Velcher with you on your Thursday here on the game. You'll get bonus Jack Velcher coming up at 11 today as he fills in for Wes and Chris. Chris been out this week. Wes will be out at camp. We'll talk to him coming up at 11:15 about what's going on out there. By the way, you can hear Wes's conversation with Tribob Balade, Trevon Ball, and Jordan Dingle coming up in the 10 o'clock hour for the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating. All right, let's run through the rest of these coaches in the SEC and see which ones we think are still going to be there by 2030. I feel like this one's pretty easy. Up next, Kirby Smart, Georgia, age 49.
Yes. That's it.
The only thing that I think would prevent him from being there if he decides he doesn't want to deal with wherever college football is at that point in time.
That's a very good point, and I feel like you could say the same for a lot of these coaches, especially as we get a little bit older on the list here too, since you have it in that chronological order of age. But yes, I do think Kirby's going to be here well beyond 2029.
Kalen DeBoer at Alabama.
No.
Yeah.
I don't think so.
I don't think the standard that he's going to have that program at is going to be acceptable 5 years from now.
This season coming up is going to be the one that tells us what direction this thing is heading. Because if they don't make the playoff again, I think there's serious discussion of like, okay, what are we doing here? Got to figure it out. And if they get to the playoff and make it to like the national championship, he'll be fine.
We'll have a deeper discussion about Kalen DeBoer coming up in the 11 o'clock hour, by the way.
Oh, good.
Lane Kiffin, age 50 at Ole Miss.
Well, you can never tell with this guy because he's very much a troll. I would say I'm gonna say no. I'm gonna say no. I think something's gonna happen between now and then. Maybe it's something that just rubs Ole Miss the wrong way, or he just kind of wants to move on. I think it's gonna be something like that.
I think he's still there. I think what he's already done at Ole Miss and the level of expectation there is significantly lower than other places. I think he can ride this for a while.
Yeah, I mean, totally. I think success is just continue to pour in, but it might be one of those things where he just wants another opportunity. Who knows?
All right, 5 more. We'll go rapid fire. Sark at Texas.
Yes.
Yes, I agree with you on that one. Venables at Oklahoma.
No.
No, I think that could be coming to an end as soon as this year, it seems like. Hugh Freeze at Auburn.
I'm going to go with yes. I think he's got Auburn on the right track.
I think we're going to get to the point very quickly where people realize, like, oh, he's not that great of a coach in today's world of college football. I don't think he's there in 2030.
We'll see.
The 2 oldest coaches in the SEC, Mark Stoops at Kentucky at 57 years of age.
Absolutely not. He'll be gone after this season.
No, I agree with you on that. And then Sam Pittman, old Uncle Sam, 63, hanging on by a string right now at Arkansas.
He's doing enough to stick around. Like, I thought he would have been fired by now. So I don't think he's not going to be here by 2029. But that could be because of age, or honestly, let's be real, Arkansas is probably going to be looking for another head coach here. If not this year, probably next year.
As much as I love Uncle Sam,
he's great.
He's skating on thin ice as it is. I don't think he can do enough in the next 5 seasons to keep his head above water there before they're like, okay, let's try something else here.
And you mentioned with Kirby, the ever-changing landscape of college football. I mean, he might just get to a point where he's like, I've done everything I can in college football. This is just becoming too much.
Yeah, and I feel pretty confident this is going to be his last head coaching gig. It's his only head coaching gig at that. But I don't think he's like, oh, okay, I'm going to get fired. I'm going to go coach at, Western Kentucky or something like that. Like, no, this is it for him, I feel like. Yeah,
like just restarting up another program just doesn't sound probably enticing for him. And look, I mean, he's been in Arkansas for, over a decade now.
He was still there in 2020.
Yeah.
So he's been there for a while.
He's been there for a bit. So.
But yeah, let's look at SEC coaches and where we think they're going to be in 2030.
A lot of no's on that list.
So the conference is going to look very different 5 years from now. We'll re-rack things coming up at the 11 o'clock hour. But up next, Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating. Wes Mitchell sitting down with Tribob Balade, Trevon Ball, and Jordan Dingle. That's up next here on the game. Tyler Head once again here telling you about our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialist. I tell you about it all the time, but I'll remind you once again, you always need to be on the lookout for things around your home that might be a little bit odd. Those things include cracks in your exterior brick, cracks in walls or above windows and door frames, doors or windows that might be sticking, uneven or bouncy floors, or cracks over your garage door. If you have any or all of these problems going on at your home, you could have serious foundation issues. That's where our friends at Canty Foundation Specialists come in. Go online to schedule an appointment today at cantycanfixit.com. They'll send a professional out to your home to evaluate your foundation issues and get them fixed so you and your family can live without worry going forward. Again, go online to schedule an appointment today at cantycanfixit.com for our friends over at Canty Foundation Specialist.
All right, everybody, welcome into another episode of the Gamecock Club Hour. I am Wes Mitchell, joined as always by some special guests from the South Carolina football program. Today we got Tree and Tro, guys, that being Trovon Ball, Tree Babalade. Guys, appreciate y'all taking the time. I know we got spring ball going on, always busy. How are y'all doing today?
I'm great. How about yourself?
Yeah, I'm good.
Yeah, man, I appreciate y'all doing this. I'm doing good as well. And Tree, let's start with you. obviously spring ball, you're about 4 or 5 practices in now. Here we are recording this on a Monday. 4 or 5 practices in. How do you think spring ball has gone so far, just for you personally and kind of for the team overall?
It's going good for me. Everything was like everything just way faster, and I'm able to understand like the playbook more and everything. For the team, everybody's clicking, so it's like it's just looking good right now.
For sure. And Tro, same thing for you, man. How do you feel like the spring has gone overall so far?
Spring's going good. It's a new book for everybody. So it's just starting a new chapter. Getting to know guys, getting to work with new guys. So it's going good.
So both of you guys came in same class, I think. Like we're talking about, we're getting into year 3, and I know for offensive linemen, and both of you played as true freshmen, so both of you did kind of play early on. But for offensive linemen, I always hear kind of that year 2, that year 3 is when it all starts to kind of click together. You've had 2 years in the weight program, 2 years in college overall. So let's start with you, Tree. What do you think the difference is going into this spring, just knowing you've got a couple of years under your belt compared to maybe that summer or so when you were first getting here?
I'll definitely say just my time schedule, just knowing how to prepare myself for practice, for meetings, for the playbook. The longer you're in the system, the more, you're able to know the playbook and stuff, and able to, things just clicks way faster. Way faster.
Troy, what about you, man?
For me, I think so. Really a mentality thing. Coming in the building every day with the same mentality. We're gonna work to get better every day. But also, I think the same thing as Tree said. You've been in this culture, this system, for the last 3 years, 2 to 3 years. So it's just something you're kind of used to.
For sure, guys. So I want to go back to the recruiting process a little bit. And I remember when y'all's class came in, big class of guys, highly recruited, 4-star dudes. Both of you had offers from lots of other great programs as well. So starting with you, Tree, and I think you decommitted there at the end maybe, and then you had us guessing a little bit. So take us back in time, Tree. Now that you can give us the full story, what went into you picking South Carolina, man?
Okay, so I committed South Carolina. I forgot what day it was, but I committed. Everything was going good. I came on campus, committed. Then a few weeks later, I decommitted. It was just a lot of things going on around that time. It was my house caught on fire, so that pushed everything back. Then the second was Marshawn Lord. He hit the Mather guy, so I was like, wow, he left. So I felt some type of way. I wanted to know that they was treating people who was out of state, good and stuff. So I talked to Marshawn. He said everything was good. And a week later, I recommitted, so everything was good.
Before we get to you, Tree, I wanted to follow up on that. What did you think of all the pictures of Coach Beamer with the big trees? I thought that was such a unique way to recruit you, but just obviously in tongue-in-cheek, kind of funny. But what did you think when just Beamer sending you, was he FaceTiming you in trees and sending you pictures of trees?
Yeah, he definitely was FaceTiming me and sending me pictures and stuff. So it was really fun. It was funny just talking to him while he was literally hanging on the chair. So
yeah, obviously made both of you guys feel like y'all are priorities for South Carolina. And I know Lonnie Teasley, Sam Sorbet, that whole group prioritized both of you. So, Tro, when you look back on your recruitment, man, what was it about the Gamecocks that led you to South Carolina?
I think for me, it was more so a culture. I seen what Coach Beamer he wanted to build, and I went into his office, and they explained it to me. He explained everything, and like just seeing him talk about like the things he had did like prior before when he was here the first time, it just made me believe like with the guys like that was coming and the guys just like that we have here still, like we can still like do the thing. So it was something big, and like just building relationships.
Troy, let's stay with you. Speaking of relationships, what is it about Coach Teasley that he's been able to build those relationships, recruit so well, win some big recruiting battles? Kind of, you guys are around him all day, every day. What is it like to just kind of be a part of his O-line room with Coach Teasley?
Man, that's our guy, man. That we call him OG. So like Coach is that's like another like father figure to us. Like, you know, we look up to him. Everything he tell us, like we take it to value. Like a small little like so like with Coach Teasley, like he's more than a coach to us. Like no matter like he gets on us or whatever, like we see Coach Teasley more as a coach. Like we see him as a father figure. We see him as like as a mentor. So no matter what, like our bond is gonna be straight. Like from 50 years from now, like our bond with Coach is gonna be good. And I think Tree can like relate to that. Like no matter what, like Coach, like we all gonna be solid with Coach Teasley.
Tree, what about you?
I'll definitely say, yeah, same thing he said. To us, TZ is like a father figure to us. So it was like it's really played a big part in our recruitment. But like you say, it was more than football. So he's teaching us how to be like grown man, like later in the future. So make sure our family's good and stuff. So yeah.
No doubt, man. So this is part of a Gamecock Club interview. So I wanted to ask you kind of just about the resources you guys have there at South Carolina and just the NIL piece. And then kind of more specifically, though, what has it been like to get to like actually know some of the fans? I know y'all have those kind of autograph sessions at other sports and some events and stuff like that, whether it's Garnet Trust events or Gamecock Club Hour stuff or Gamecock Club stuff. How is that to kind of not just have the NIL, I know the money and all that stuff's good, but also get to know some of the fans that support you guys, whether it's financially giving to the school or just cheering for you on Saturday. You can go first, Tree, if you want.
I would say it's fun just going out there, signing autographs, talking to the fans, interacting with them. It's very fun because they always like their face like light up, and it's like it's just good to see how people can be happy just because of us showing who we are and like us just being there like really matters.
What about you, Trey?
I think really like with the fans part, it's good. It's good to like see everybody in the community. You know, it's good to see like the people like that's like heavily invested in us. It's like our Coach Beerman tells us all the time. Like we're the main sport in South Carolina. Like there's no other like football team around South Carolina outside of like somebody else. But so like they really see us as like the main attraction. So like just to be able and like just see like somebody like a little kid and just like know like I was able to change their life just for like a minute or so, like just having a conversation, like it really means a lot.
Troy, let's stay with you, man. With this past off-season winter workouts, I thought one of the things that was pretty cool, outside looking in, but some of the events y'all got to do as a team that weren't just football, like the basketball stuff, dodgeball, wiffle ball. I see y'all grinning right now. So, Troy, what did y'all think about just competing? But, I mean, I know there's a reason for doing it, but at the same time, I'm sure it kind of breaks up the monotony a little bit. Troy, what was your favorite other sport that y'all got to do, and how was all that?
You know, the competing part, you know, it's something that's built in all of us. You know, like we didn't get this far for no reason. So it was good like to compete against like each other, but also like it also gives like a chance like to get to know like some of the younger guys a little bit more like outside of like working out. And really I think the best thing for me is like really like basketball, you know, like we played wiffle ball. The ball too, like I don't think me and Drew played baseball before, so like it was kind of struggle And dodgeball, we bigger guys, so we some bigger targets. So like really basketball, pick and roll, that's it.
Yeah, we definitely ain't no baseball players, so I didn't hit. I probably hit like one out of like 10. So I was definitely bad. But basketball was fun. I'm not a hooper either, so I did all right. But yeah, it was fun.
Who was the best dodgeball player on the team? Was anybody like? I feel like that's such a random sport, but I saw Beamer was out there. Did anybody get to hit Beamer with the ball? Like,
I think a few players did hit Beamer with the ball.
Yeah, I think DQ got him for sure.
who's the best hooper?
We had a lot. Well, O line wise, we'll say RJ.
Yeah, I like Bari though. Zabari
is-
is very good.
Okay, all right. How do y'all feel like? We'll start with you on this one, Tree. How did y'all feel like winter workouts went overall? Like a lot of the guys we talked to here on the show just talk about kind of the madness, but in a good way, of Luke Day and kind of how he kind of has got the mad scientist thing going, but just comes up with ways to be unique, but also help you guys grow strength and conditioning wise.
Yeah, like you already know, Luke Day is trying to like get us prepared for the season. So we doing a lot of little things that like soft tissue and stuff to make sure ain't no injuries that really happen. Like how last year was good because we already had that many injuries, so you could tell that he been taking it pretty serious and trying to take the next level into it.
What about you, Trey?
For me, I'll say, man, that was. I think as a team, like we came out with the right mindset going into the winter. Like we knew there were like things from last year that we wanted to get back. So we really just took like winter into like as like another like part of like the season, like just phase one. So basically, I think we really like dialed into it, like locked into the things, and like not even like just the winter. Like it was a lot of guys coming back after like just get more and more done. Like just know because it's gonna take we're gonna like need a little bit more just to get to the place we want to go to.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, all right, y'all. Again, we got to take a quick break here. We're hanging out. This is the Gamecock Club Hour. Tree, Tro, and I'm Wes. We'll be right back.
Folks, let us tell you about our friends over at Krantz Cooling. Since 1983, that's 2Ks, KrantzCooling.com. You rely on your home's air conditioning and heating systems to keep your temperatures throughout your house comfortable year-round. To keep those systems in working order, you want a professional, reliable, full-service contractor. Krantz is serving homeowners just like you in the Columbia area by delivering quality workmanship, products, positive results, safety, uncompromising integrity, as well as any of the services you need for your HVAC systems. Of course, that includes air conditioner, heating, preventative maintenance, ductless AC, indoor air quality, or if you are a business owner as well, hit up our friends at Krantz for your commercial HVAC services. How do you do that? Phone number 803-672-3224. Again, that's 803-672-3224. Or head on over to KrantzCooling.com.
All right, welcome back in. Gamecock Club Hour, hanging out with two special guests. We got Trovon Ball, we got Tree Babalade, two South Carolina offensive linemen, talking a little spring ball. Guys, let's go off the field a little bit. Tree, let's start with you. If we're not playing football, what's taking up your time, man? What are your hobbies? What do you love to do when you do get a little bit of free time?
I'll definitely say Netflix, watching TV shows and stuff. Like I could sit down and watch so many TV shows. Like right now I'm watching Supernatural. It's like 15 seasons. I'm about to finish it. What? Like 2 weeks from now. I'm like on season 14. So I've been watching. I could sit down and watch TV shows the whole time. So that's pretty much it.
What is the all-time favorite TV show for you? Is there a one or two or top three or anything like that?
I mean, when I was a kid, it used to be Flash, but Flash fell off. Supernatural is up there. There's some movies I be watching on Netflix. It'd be random, but I'm also interested in anime too. Anime is good. So if I was to have a top three, Supernatural, I think there's one called A Night Agent right now, and there's one more I'm trying to remember. I can't remember the third one, but there's one more.
I got you. Let's go to Tro. Tro, if you're not playing ball, what are you kind of doing with your free time, man?
Sure, man. I'm going somewhere. Like for me, I like to travel. Like so, I probably might be back in Georgia, but like outside of that, I'm really fishing. So like a lot of times when I go back home, I like to fish. You know, just like sit back on sit on the dock, just fish.
Hey, let's go back to where you're from, Pace Academy, right? Man, I feel like y'all put out offensive linemen every year. How I know we're kind of bouncing around a little bit here, but how do you think going to Pace prepared you for the next level? It seems like y'all always have guys.
Really, I think for like a lot of guys like at Pace, it's really a standard. Like especially putting offensive line. Like Coach Kev, like our offensive line Coach Kevin Johnson, like he develops us so he gets us our summer going in our freshman year. He just like develops us all the way until like we graduate. So it's really just like him just like developing us and just meeting his standards. Cause it's like you don't meet his standards, man. You really ain't gonna make it.
Did he play at Carolina? Did he go to Carolina?
Yeah, he did.
That's what I thought.
So it's a lot.
Let's go back off the field. Food, Tro. What's your favorite meal? If you could kind of have like one meal, like last meal type thing, what are we putting on the plate, man?
Like just one thing?
Well, just like if you had a plate where it was like your favorite foods. And it could be anything in the world. What's going on there? What's going on the plate?
I'm gonna get my mom. I'm gonna get my mom makes like a little bit like put some chicken on the grill. Get my mom and dad put some chicken on the grill. I'm gonna get my mom make some mac and cheese with a little bit of succotash, and then probably get some cabbage. Man, I can't wait till spring game over. You know that's the weekend of Easter, so man, I can't wait. You know, get a little bit of time off after that. I can eat a little bit what I want to, but get a lot right back into it. So yeah, I can't wait.
So Mama's cooking. It sounds like is the short answer there.
I already told her. I said when we at my apartment for Easter. I said ain't no reason to go back home. I said I got pots and pans.
There you go. Tree, what about you, man? What's the kind of last supper there for you?
Also the same thing my mom's cooking.
Jollof rice.
Yeah, I like some jollof rice. More like our African dish that I always want to eat it, but haven't ate that like in a while. So I definitely do need to go back home, go try some mom cooking. But Yeah, I'll probably say jollof rice is probably the top one.
Do you cook it too, Tree? Have you tried cooking it? No.
Nah, it don't hit the same like mama, so I'm not even gonna try.
Okay, yeah, you got to get the secret recipe there, man. All right, y'all, let's close this thing out. Finishing off with the rest of spring ball, and then going into May. I know last year there was a big deal made of like offensive line kind of staying around town for May, and a bunch of you guys didn't go home. I know that was kind of big for y'all. So, what do you think? Let's start with you, Tree. What are kind of your personal goals and the goals of the group as we complete spring ball and then kind of get into the off season and then work ahead into summer workouts? I mean, before you know it, it'll be time to kick off again. So, what are your personal goals, Tree?
My personal goal would probably be just that's a good question. Wow. I'll probably just say learn the playbook better. I'm already do, but it's just the more understanding, the better you're able to play and see things clearly. Another plan, I'll just say, just get a bit faster and just get my play, because I play with my pass high, so I just got to get better at, like, knowing, like, my techniques, how to bend, and just other things. But that's probably the main three things right there.
What about you, Troy?
So really for me, like, to finish spring the way I started it, I think that's the biggest thing for me right now. Like just, just keep the same things like what I've been doing great. Just keep like executing it from there. But I'm kind of on the same thing as Trevor, like keeping a good base, keeping keeping my hips grounded, like rolling them out, let's play go on, low pad level, but also like going into the season, I wanna like leave my impact here at South Carolina. I think I really want to have my impact year. Kind of like cement my legacy here, and then like after that, just see whatever the future holds. So yeah.
All right, sounds good. Again, that was Tree Babalade, Trevon Ball. This has been another episode. Thank you for joining us for another episode of the Gamecock Club Hour. It's, as always, presented by our friends at Krantz Cooling and Heating. So check those guys out for any of your HVAC needs. Tro, we'll let you get back to it, but we appreciate y'all taking the time, man, and hopefully we can do this again one day, okay?
Yes, sir.
Thank you.
Our friends over at Integrated Media can make any of your audio-visual dreams come true at your home. You don't have to use the big box stores. So if you are looking to put a new TV in your home, if you're looking to improve your internet signal, if you're moving, if you're building a new home and you need to have your AV taken care of, you don't have to use those big box stores. You don't have to look at the thousands of different options online. Just give Michael, Nathan, the team at Integrated Media a call, 803-948-8327. They can come out to your home just like they did for me, just like they did for Wes. They can help you out with everything from sourcing the equipment, letting you know what's the best, to professionally installing it for you. If you got dead spots in your home, if you want to extend your Wi-Fi signal outside, if you want to build that new man cave or trick out your patio, they can do it for you. 803-948-8327 or visit their website, integratedmediainc.com.
All right, everybody, welcome back in. This is another episode of the Gamecock Club Hour. We've got a special guest from South Carolina football. It is senior tight end Jordan Dingle joining us here today. Kind of in between stuff with football, spring ball going on. Jordan, I appreciate you taking the time, man. How you doing today?
Doing well, and just appreciate you having me. So, you know.
Yeah, excited for the fans we use these shows, man, to give the fans just a little peek behind the curtain of kind of what's going on with the football team and, of course, with yourself as a transfer in at the tight end position from Kentucky. And I kind of want to start right there, man. Obviously, you go into the portal, you have options. It seemed like you picked South Carolina fairly efficiently, fairly quickly. I know you have some ties to the state anyway. So can you just maybe take the listeners and the fans out there kind of through the recruiting process for you this time around and why you chose the Gamecocks?
Yeah, ended my name in the portal pretty early, and kind of got in contact with a lot of different coaches and schools out there, and kind of reached out to who I was interested in, who I felt that had the things that I was looking for. And South Carolina was high on that list, and was visiting some other schools. I took a weekend or a week and a half or so and visited some places, and just kind of really wanted to see what place felt like home. And when I got to South Carolina, that was definitely felt. And they showed the love I was looking for when it comes to the opportunity on the field. They definitely had that. I feel like they utilized the tight ends in the way that I'm looking for, and just getting with Coach Elliott and Coach Beamer, it was great, and having that opportunity to connect, I felt like it was really the place to be.
Yeah, and speaking of feeling like home, man, I know you still have family in the state of South Carolina. I think Manning, South Carolina, if I remember correctly. Correct me if I'm wrong on that. But so did you live in South Carolina earlier in your career, or just your family did?
No, yeah, I actually lived in South Carolina up until I was like 5 or so, and then moved. But coming back every summer, every holiday, and things like that, so I really kind of felt real close ties to here. And this is where it's special. All my family's here, and that's another reason that factored into my decision to come to South Carolina. And so just was excited to be able to represent my family, the state of South Carolina, and just take this opportunity and run with it. So
I remember you visiting campus when you were a high school recruit and kind of checking out the program, either for like an unofficial or camps or something like that. So how just interesting was it stepping back on campus like years later, Coach Beamer being here now and kind of having the opportunity to come to South Carolina this second time around?
Yeah, it was definitely a full circle moment, just to have that opportunity again with, new coaching staff, of course, but just as there were still some staff members that was there, like for example, the guy that took my pictures on my last visit, he was the same person, and he put two and two together, showed me the old pictures, and it was definitely a full circle moment. And just really am thankful for the opportunity, and it must have been meant to be.
For sure. And so you mentioned when you're talking about some of the things that were important to you, you did mention Coach Sean Elliott, who is now your position coach. Just like the most high energy guy you could possibly have as a coach, I would imagine. What has that been like these last few months, just kind of connecting with him and then actually getting out there on the practice field with him these last couple of weeks?
Honestly, it's been great. I feel like he's a great coach, knows what he's talking about, and just lets you. He's definitely honest and upfront with you, and I like that. And just on the field, he makes sure he lets you know what you're doing wrong, but also make sure to celebrate when you're doing the good stuff. So I do appreciate that, and he's a great man, honestly, and has helped me already on this short time during this short time here at South Carolina. So definitely appreciate them.
I know I interviewed you when you first got here, and we were kind of talking a little bit about what Josh Simon did last year within this offense, and obviously a little bit different scheme, but similar approaches. How do you maybe think that your skill set coming in, also as a veteran guy, and interestingly enough, you're both from the Palmetto State too, so some parallels there. How much did what Josh kind of did and was able to do maybe give you kind of a vision for what your role could be kind of finishing your career here as well?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, it just kind of showed me that they're willing to give the ball to the tight end and just really take advantage of that. And like just seeing how he was playing, seeing the some of his athleticism, I was impressed. And just seeing in general the tight ends that Coach Beamer and some of the tight ends that the coaching staff has worked with, like that really impressed me. And so I just feel like me coming in as well and having a bit of a versatile skill set, I think that can really allow me to flourish in this offense. So definitely looking forward to that.
Now that you had a few weeks of practice to catch passes from Lenora Sellers, how excited are you to be on the same side with him now as opposed to on the other sideline?
Yeah, definitely excited to be on the same team with him now and not have to try to the defense try to keep him contained and everything. But he's definitely a good quarterback, and I see it already. And so just excited to be on the field, get in the game with him and make something happen. So,
like we were talking about a second ago, like to give the fans a little peek behind the curtain, what's going on with you guys. So during kind of this time period when you have spring ball, it's kind of, I guess, maybe every other day that you have actual practice. What does like a day in the life of Jordan Dingle look like right now in terms of like when's the alarm going off? What starts the day? How much are you in the film room? Like kind of just in your own words, maybe take us through what that looks like for a student athlete right now.
Yeah, honestly, I guess I'll start with like one of my days, like when we don't have practice. I'll get up there around. Well, I'll wake up around 6:15 or so. Get up there at around 7:30, and a little before 7:30, and then make sure I'm stretched and eating breakfast and getting ready for our meetings and stuff. And then so we'll have those meetings, and go to special teams meetings, tight end specific or offense as a group meeting, and then we'll go lift, have our lift, and that'll be some good work with Coach Day. Definitely enjoy those. And then after that, usually my day is just now starting. I mean, I'll get some cold tub therapy and different things like that for rehab, because being a senior and stuff, you got to make sure you're taking care of your body, being in college football this long. So definitely got to invest there. And I have class from 12 to 7:30 after that. So I'm in grad school, and so it takes a little bit of time off my day as well. Have class from 12 to 1, and then 2:20 to 4 something, and then 4 something to 7:30. So make sure I get it in, and after that I'll finally be able to kind of decompress and stuff. Usually watch some film, look at some things we've been looking over in practice, look at my notes, things like that, try to get some homework done, and then if I have some free time, hop on the game or something like that, get on, talk to my family, anything like that, and then hit the hay, honestly. So
do you get any free time in there, Jordan, right now this time of year?
Not much. Later in the week, a little bit more, but it's definitely not much free time.
Yeah, for sure, man. So, all right.
Next days are a different story, but
Yeah. Sounds like a lot, but obviously working for a great goal here as you go into your senior year. Let's take a quick break right here, Jordan. Everybody, you're listening to He's Jordan Dingle. I'm Wes Mitchell. This is the Gamecock Club Hour presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating, and we'll be right back. All right, guys, welcome back in. Joined still here by special guest, South Carolina tight end Jordan Dingle, talking a little bit about a day in the life of a South Carolina student athlete. And you were talking about right now, obviously, grad school, spring ball, all that going on. But when you do get free time, when there are those days, what are the things that you kind of enjoy, the hobbies that just kind of take you away from the game just a little bit to take your mind off of it, I guess?
Yeah, I mean, honestly, like to just hop on, like play some video games sometimes, or I'll just go outside. I have a lake right close to where I live, so go fish, take a walk. I like to be outdoors a little bit. Hopefully I can have a four-wheeler. Hopefully I can get that down here and start riding some in the summer, because that's something I like to do as well, try to pass some time. But things like that, and just kind of decompressing, watching some TV or movies.
Is the four-wheeler in Kentucky, or it's in Manning, or where it's?
No, it's in Kentucky.
You gotta get it across country somehow.
Yeah, somehow. Yeah.
Yeah. That'd be a long ride, so hopefully you can get a truck to get that shipped here for you. But man, so you mentioned the video game. Are we talking CFB 25, talking NCAA, or something else?
Yeah, NCAA for the most part, a little bit of 2K or things like that. What you call it? Call of Duty, things like that. So,
who is the best video game player on the team at NCAA?
See, I'm still trying to find out. Honestly, I haven't gotten a chance to really play everybody, but I've heard some rumblings here and there. But just know that just know I'm good. I'm gonna make sure I stand up and stand out. So.
You're in the conversation for best on the team.
I'm in the conversation. Gotta be.
Okay, I'm looking forward to figuring out as we go along who takes that crown. Hey, there were some guys that the school had a tournament last year, so and I think I don't know if you've met him, Torricelli Simpkins. He played on last year's team. He ended up winning the tournament, but it was some players, some fans. So. Maybe we can get that going again this year, make something like that happen. But, Jordan, we also like to talk a little bit of food here on the show. Any favorite meals, kind of just what are you putting on that plate if it could be anything in the world?
I mean, I gotta have my hot wings. If don't have my hot wings, I gotta find someplace real specific and get some lamb chops or something like that. Those two probably top on the list. But I have my grandma right down the road, and she makes sure she cooks on Sundays and stuff, so she'll make the whole spread, that good old soul food. So I've been enjoying that too. Gotta take it
that might be the real reason you came back, man. Yeah. You got grandma right down the road.
I'm telling you, yeah.
Yeah, definitely a good reason there. Closing it out here with Jordan Dingle, again, South Carolina tight end. So, Jordan, let's get back on the field just a little bit. Any kind of goals you have set for yourself the rest of spring? I know, obviously, like development in general, but is there anything you've kind of focused on as you've kind of gotten into spring ball that you've said, these are some areas of emphasis for me personally?
Yeah, I mean, there's a lot of different things. I would say just in general, I'm trying to get better all around. Make sure stuff like my footwork when I'm blocking it is down solid and good. And as far as keeping my hands inside when I'm blocking as well, that's something I've been keying in on. And just making sure my route running is crisp, getting in and out of cuts, and just catching the ball in general. I know I kind of captured everything there, but working on catching outside of my frame and just making sure I'm taking advantage of all that.
What stood out to you about Williams-Brice Stadium when you played here as a visitor?
I mean, honestly, the environment is different. Like Sandstorm, all the fans have the towels, waving them, and like it's definitely a different atmosphere from a lot of different places. So I really appreciate that, and I know that when they come, and so the support's always there.
How I guess excited or how much are you looking forward to? First of all, just that experience at home, but the first time you suit up will not be at home. It's actually be Mercedes-Benz, Virginia Tech, kind of a pretty cool like neutral site, SEC, ACC, kind of one of the bigger matchups that weekend. So it's got some gravity to it. How much you looking forward to that opportunity?
Yeah, I'm super excited for that. Just to be able to kick off the season like that versus an opponent you might not always play. So it's definitely exciting, and just being on the big stage and having that exposure is definitely something I'm looking forward to, and just can't wait to kick it off with the guys.
Jordan, again, man, we appreciate you taking the time. I know you got a lot going on. Good luck the rest of the way this spring. Good luck this season, and hopefully we'll talk to you soon, okay?
Appreciate that. Appreciate you having me. Thank you.
All right, he is Jordan Dingle. I am Wes Mitchell. This has been the Gamecock Club Hour, as always presented by Krantz Cooling and Heating.
If you are looking for a reliable local roofing company to help your home or business with your roofing needs, check out our friends at Classic Roofing. Joe Reeder, Max Sawyer, our guys, friends of the program here. They can help you take good care of your roof. That can be challenging, but you don't have to do it alone. They have years of expertise under their hats. Their local company, again, their families live right here in the Midlands, and the guys at Classic Roofing are GAF certified roofers. Only about 7% of roofers nationwide even have that certification. They can do inspections, installations, replacements, and repairs on your roof. You can visualize your new roof and what it would look like at classicroofingsc.com. You can check out their reviews and get a free estimate there. classicroofingsc.com, or give them a call, 803-590-7870. That's the reliable roofers over at Classic Roofing.
11 o'clock. Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Tyler Head, not with Wes Mitchell and Chris Clark, though. As I mentioned earlier, Jack Beltry pulling a double, which is all the more impressive given the fact that you're on, 3, maybe 4 hours of sleep?
Yeah, definitely not running on much sleep today. Running on fumes, honestly. Woke up feeling like death this morning, but we're here. And you know what? The Gamecock Central Takeover Hour name still lives on because
yes, it does.
Technically, I am a part of Gamecock Central.
Well, not technically, you are.
I know. I was just joking. So yeah, no, but glad to be back on, man. How you doing? Been
Good.
A long time no see.
I was gonna say we've been kind of seeing each other through this glass for the past hour, but
yeah.
Are you gonna go home and crash after this?
Not yet. I still have a GC Live show to do whenever I get back. Gonna talk some baseball, so shameless plug if you guys want to come listen over there after. Hear more of me later on. But after that though, yes, I will be.
There is nothing, and whenever I have to fill in for Bill in the mornings, I get up at 4 o'clock and I work from 6 until noon. That afternoon nap, it hits different. And I'm a firm believer that 1 hour of sleep in the middle of the day is worth 2 hours at night. Because I can sleep. I can take a 2-hour nap in the middle of the day and feel more refreshed than I do for sleeping 7 hours overnight.
And it makes a world of difference. And lately, honestly, towards the end of baseball season, I found myself taking these random naps during the day that I'm never a nap taker during the day, but for some reason, I don't know, just maybe the wear and tear. But yeah, today is going to be one of those days where definitely got a nap coming later.
Now, when you were growing up, did your dad fall asleep on the couch very easily, or recliner or whatever?
Easily. It still happens to this day.
Well, mine did too. And I remember looking at that as a kid and I'm never going to be that person. I'm always going to have all this energy and I'm never going to fall asleep watching TV. And yet I do that constantly to this day. I have to be moving around, especially if I'm doing something on my laptop. I can't just be sitting on the couch because I feel like I'm going to lose my focus or end up falling asleep or something like that. I have to be moving around constantly to keep myself going.
Oh, yeah. And especially during this time of year where there's just for us, it's this is kind of our dead period, because all the sports are done.
Yep.
And, we got the transfer portal and stuff and all, summer recruiting and whatnot. But, that doesn't take up as much of our time compared to the everyday grind of covering a team during the season. So definitely a lot more time for naps and catching up on sleep here, I guess.
Absolutely. By the way, speaking of which, Wes is out at camp, which we'll be checking in with him coming up at 11:15 and get a lay of the land on what's going on out there. But we have to start the show off, as we've been doing for the past couple weeks here, with our daily trivia question. Now, I don't know how familiar with what we've been doing is, but the countdown to kickoff, I will take whatever the days remaining until kickoff is, go to that year of South Carolina football, and come up with a trivia question to ask Wes and Chris, typically when they're here, and the first one to answer it gets a point. Wes finally got on the board yesterday. He finally scored a point in the question that he answered correctly. Actually gave him half a point for being able to tell me all the schools within that answer. So he now has a 1.5-point lead over Chris in our trivia contest. You are going to be answering the question today, and if you get it right, I will give you the opportunity to award the point to either Wes or Chris.
Oh, gosh.
Do you think you can handle that?
Yeah, I can handle that for the 1987 season. This is like the dinosaur ages for me.
Now, are you good at trivia in general? Is that your thing?
Trivia? Oh yeah, no, I love trivia, but am I good at it? It's debatable.
All right. Well, let's see how you do with this one. So from 1987, this was a South Carolina team that did go 8-4 on the season, did make a bowl game. In 1987, how many nationally televised games did South Carolina have? Now, do you want to just guess a number, or do you want me to give you multiple choice?
Give me a multiple choice.
All right. Option A, 2. Option B, 4. Option C, 6. Or option D, 10. How many nationally televised games did South Carolina have back in 1987?
This is a different era too.
Yes,
so,
that was before it was as prevalent as it is today.
Yeah. And just to preface, what do we consider national TV?
Really, that's all you had back then.
Like, yeah, that's what I'm saying. Yeah.
Like if it was looking at the rundown here of the schedule, if it was a televised game, because not every game was televised.
Ooh, so not every game was televised. Ooh,
Yes.
That's the third option was what, 6?
2, 4, 6, 10.
Okay, no 8. I'm gonna go 6.
Think 6. Incorrect.
Dang.
Only 4.
Really?
Yes.
Wow.
In 1987, they went to Lincoln, Nebraska to take on the number 2 Cornhuskers. That game was seen on ESPN. The next game, that was on October 3rd. They would not play another nationally televised game until the Clemson game on ESPN as well. They played number 2 Miami in Miami on ESPN a few weeks after that. And then their bowl game, the Gator Bowl against LSU, was seen on CBS.
So I guess the other games that are, and most of these are at home, by the way. I mean, my gosh, I mean, a month of October where you did not have to travel on the road after going to Nebraska. That's kind of crazy. I mean, I don't even know if we know the answer to this. I mean, just I guess it was just radio back in the day, right?
It was radio back in the day. You had...
That's crazy.
And this was before big television contracts and all that kind of stuff, where a lot of schools, going back to like the early 80s, late 70s, you would typically get like one nationally televised game.
Yeah.
Because, again, they had to kind of rotate through and get everybody on there. Now, again, you had schools like Notre Dame, who I can't remember what year they got the NBC contract, but they were seen pretty much every single week. Which is why they ended up being as big of a brand as they've become for a lot of ways. But yeah, it used to be because let's think about this. They played number 20 Georgia in Sanford Stadium, and that game was not seen on television. After playing Nebraska on October 3rd, you did not see South Carolina football on TV for a month and a half until they played Clemson towards the end of the season.
Jeez. I mean, I guess it makes sense back in the day. 4 games. That feels like a good bit, though, for all things considered.
And here's the funny thing to me. We talked so much today about the, formatting on of the college football playoff and all that kind of stuff. Remember, we used to decide the national champions by the polls, where the sports writers got to say, oh, hey, we think this is the best team in the nation. And if it was that hard to watch your own team play, imagine trying to cover the sport nationally, where you can only see a handful of teams every single week play. Now, literally, you've got every single game you can think of. If you want to go watch Division III football this fall, you can get on ESPN Plus and find literally any game you can think of, because they're all on there. You can watch every single college football game pretty much nationwide. Back then, yeah, a ranked matchup may only be on radio.
Yeah.
And if you're trying to cover the sport and get an idea of who the best teams in college football are at that point in time, I don't have any clue how you do that.
I cannot imagine being a sports fan back in the 80s. And gosh, I mean, even going back to even further than that, I mean, it's crazy. And I'm sure a lot of people listening, I mean, grew up around that time and, probably share firsthand experience of it. I mean, that's before our time for sure.
Yeah, no, that is crazy. And, I think we almost get kind of spoiled by the way TV is today. And, we talk about, I don't like the way that ESPN presents it compared to CBS or Fox or whatever it may be, but just, hey, be glad you actually get to see the games.
Oh, yeah,
and,
totally.
And again, even I remember this growing up, for a while before the SEC Network came along, there were usually a couple games on pay-per-view. And that was typically like when you played an FCS team, like South Carolina played Furman or something like that. It's like, hey, that game is going to be on pay-per-view instead of, SEC Network Plus.
I don't remember that. Huh.
Yeah, I do. That was it went away probably late 2000s.
Yeah.
But I do remember a lot of the times, and I believe there may have been 1 or 2 high-profile matchups on there, but mainly it was like, okay, you're playing a no-name school in a pay game, and, we only have so many channels to put SEC teams on, so, we're just going to bump you over to pay-per-view or something like that.
I'm sure at some point we're going to get back to seeing that at some point.
If you really think about it, like ESPN Plus is pay-per-view.
Oh, yeah. I mean, you pay for it. So.
It's just like you're paying for an entire service as opposed to, like, that's the thing that blows my mind, too. And I'm a professional wrestling fan. Growing up, their pay-per-views were pay-per-views, where every single month you had to shell out like $50 or $60 to watch the event, which my parents were never going to let me do. And then, like, they came up with their own network where it was like $10 a month. And I'm like, oh, I can do that. And I've been able to watch it since. So, like, we've changed what it means in a way, but it's still the same thing. You're still paying to watch these games. It's just not one price for one game. It's one price for everything.
Yeah, which is both pretty good, and also like, you know, it's not necessarily ideal. You got to pay to watch some of these games, but you know, considering it's most of the time it's these little schools playing up against like South Carolina and stuff, makes sense.
Like think about it like this. Okay, so South Carolina's playing SC State this year, right? In week number 2, I believe. If that game was not on, you know, television, streaming, or whatever on the SC Network Plus, how much would you actually pay to watch that game? Like, if you couldn't be in Williams-Brice Stadium, how much would you willingly pay to watch South Carolina play a game that they're likely going to win by a significant margin?
I mean, it shouldn't cost much, number one. I mean, I don't know. I mean, look.
But if I told you that game was like $30, would you pay that?
No. Well, I mean, look, if you're a diehard South Carolina fan and you want to watch your team, you're going to pay the money. Like, that's how it's going to work. Yeah, as for me, like, you know, just I'd cover the team. So yeah, if I were a fan, yeah, I'd probably pay for it.
Do you have any distinct memories of listening to games only on the radio that you couldn't see on TV?
I'm trying to think. I mean, I grew up in the 2000s, and by the time I really started watching sports consistently, I mean, it was like 2008, 2009, getting into the 2010s. So I don't ever really remember a time where sports weren't on TV. I mean, but I love listening on radio, though. Don't get me wrong.
Oh, I love radio, too.
Yeah.
I love that I get to the point sometimes where I will mute the TV and turn on a radio broadcast to certain events, because I feel radio, and we work in the medium, obviously, it paints a picture for you.
It has
right?
to.
Like TV, you have the visual. Like, the audience can see what you're talking about, and you don't have to be as descriptive. I love the way radio play-by-play guys have to tell you everything that's happening to put you there mentally.
Oh, yeah. It's a skill that you have to have in order to be a good personality on radio. I mean, it's just part of the job.
Yeah, it is. But yeah, that 1987 season, 4 games on national television. So when you're complaining about not being able to find what channel South Carolina is playing on, just remember, back then, 2/3 of the games you couldn't even see.
Yeah, what radio station is South Carolina on today was probably the topic.
I'm sure it was, because when this station didn't come along until 2007. So,
yeah.
I mean, they had a flagship somewhere here, I'm sure, but it wasn't this.
No.
So, which, by the way, if you ever can't find a game on TV, just listen on 107.5 The Game. We'll get you covered.
Exactly.
So we'll check in with Wes coming up next from camp today, get his thoughts. Camp doesn't really get rolling until about noon, but guys are measuring in and all that kind of stuff and getting checked in. So we'll get his thoughts on that as your Thursday edition of the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour, presented by Firehouse Subs, rolls along here on The Game.
All right, guys, you know what? This show presented by our friends over at Firehouse Subs. Almost lunchtime. Time for you to hit up firehousesubs.com or the Firehouse Subs app. Hopefully you already got that thing downloaded. I hit up some Firehouse Subs earlier this week. Went with my favorite, the brisket add bacon. But if you're wanting to try something new, we've been telling you about the new Hot Ones featured zesty garlic hook and ladder and spicy dill hook and ladder. Of course, the spicy one is so spicy that they actually have a little disclaimer here telling you that you should not consume it if you can't handle the Carolina Reaper. But if that's something you like, if you like to kind of push the limits, this one is a 10 on the hot scale here. That pickle is what kind of puts it over the top in terms of heat, soaked in the Last Dab Reaper Edition Hot One sauce. If you want something a little bit more mild but still good, hit up the zesty garlic hook and ladder. All that for you now at Firehouse Subs.
Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler and Jack along with you here on your Thursday as Chris has been out all week. And Wes out at Shane Beamer football camp, something that we're going to see a lot of over the next couple weeks as we roll through the summer. But he is joining us now on the Love Chevrolet phone lines. We'll get to camp stuff here in a second, but Jack was telling me the story when he got in here earlier that he got to go witness our Atlanta Braves struggle in person last night and still managed to make it here on time this morning. Is he there? You there, Wes?
Do we have him?
Don't know why we're not hearing him. Let's see. Let's try this again.
Yeah.
Hold on.
I did talk to him last night, though, and he told me straight up, this offense is just not good. But, hey, get to watch Cy Young Chris Sale. So that was a lot of fun last night. A lot of walks, though. A lot of walks. And that's, hey, never walk the leadoff batter, which he did quite a few times last night. And still made it through a handful of innings.
All right, hold on. We're looking to get him on. One sec. Give us more of your experience at Truist Park.
I mean, look, I've been there quite a few times. And funny enough, the last time I went to Truist Park, the Diamondbacks were playing there against the Braves. It was a 7-inning doubleheader. Madison Bumgarner throwing a no-hitter over 7 innings, and whether it counts or not is up to you. But, yeah, that was the last time I went, and, yeah, I'm probably going to go back this summer. So, and, yeah, I'll probably go see Yankees are there after the All-Star break.
All right, let's try this one more time. Wes, can you hear us now? No? Don't know what's up with our phone lines.
Wes?
Well, maybe we won't get to talk to Wes right now.
Well, that stinks.
We'll keep efforting that. Wes, if you can hear us, try calling us and see if that works.
Yes.
I think we have some gremlins going on with the phones as of right now. But you know what? These kind of things happen. That's the beauty of live radio.
Exactly.
But I'm glad you had a good time.
Yeah, man. Yeah, it was a great time. And, yeah, I mean, look, it's a gorgeous ballpark. I mean, I love what they have over there. And it's so much better. I actually went to Turner Field the last season, because the last season there was, what, 16? At Turner?
Yes.
Yeah,
correct.
so I did go in 16, and I mean, this was a bad Braves team too. So it's Turner's definitely not as good as what they have now, but it's I mean, it's just the location, especially, is just it's vastly different. I mean, the Battery is fantastic, and Turner Field is kind of just in like downtown Atlanta, so not necessarily the best spot to be, which is also where Fulton County Stadium was too.
All right, we're going to try Wes one more time here on the opposite phone line. Wes, can you hear us now? No? All right. We will we'll scratch that then.
All right.
We tried. We gave our best effort.
Yeah, well.
But yeah, Wes was just going to give us the details of what's going on at the Shane Beamer football camp. As I mentioned, a lot of these happening over the course of the summer, over the course of the next couple of weeks here. And he was talking to me about it yesterday as a real good way to get kind of glimpses into guys that, aren't on people's radars yet, because you have, I believe today is 9 through 12 in terms of grades that are able to come in and be a part of this. So maybe get an opportunity to take a look at some guys that could create a lot of buzz in the next couple of years.
Oh, yeah, for sure. I mean, a huge opportunity here to see more guys. I mean, this is such a big month for South Carolina, too, because obviously they had the big recruiting weekend this past weekend, which by all accounts went very, very well. And check all that stuff out on GamecockCentral.com for more in-depth from Wes, Chris, all the guys over there that help out covering recruiting. But, yeah, and these camps, very big in getting people kind of, these recruits kind of closer to seeing what South Carolina is like and maybe eventually committing.
Now, is this something that you frequent a lot, that you have to cover?
Recruiting's not really my area of the job. That's more so Wes, Chris. We have Kevin Miller, who also helps out a lot. When it comes to portal and stuff, and more so with baseball, I probably keep up with recruiting with high school guys and stuff. And but the in-depth of it, like with football and stuff, that's really just Wes, Chris, those guys. So I let them kind of just do their thing, and I just cover the team and stuff in general. So.
Well, again, we'll see what Wes has to say tomorrow, I guess, when it comes to what happened at the camp day, because I don't know. The phones are Phones are acting up today for some reason.
Of course. The phones had to be acting up today.
I'll have to alert the engineer the next break. I was also going to tell him that you did not get the question right to award him an extra point to help out him.
But
or
who's
Chris.
to say I wouldn't have given it to Chris?
That's true. That's true. Well, it could have been nice and said you were going to give it to him.
Yeah, I guess
Maybe
so.
do you think Chris needs the help though?
I don't know. So how many points back is Chris?
Half. I gave Wes half a point for correctly naming the teams in our trivia question from yesterday.
Jeez. So he's so Chris is definitely going to need an extra point here to help out, but
Yeah.
I won't be giving it to anyone today.
That's
so.
okay. We'll again see what's going on with these phone lines, and if nothing else, we'll get Wes's take on camp tomorrow. But I'm sure you can follow along on Gamecock Central today, as he'll have stuff probably on the Insiders Forum and obviously write up later on today. We talked about as well. These are the kind of camps that like J.R. Johnson, Nicky Minori, those kind of guys got noticed at, and particularly for J.R. Johnson, it's kind of a well-known story that I think was it going into his senior year that he came to South Carolina and really didn't have a ton of offers. Carolina was like, hey, look at this guy. He's really good. Jumped on him first, and then more offers came after that, but they were kind of the first ones to be on him because of what they saw at camp.
Oh, yeah. I mean, that's the beauty of these camps is that you can really see what these prospects are like. You know, it may not be in game action. I mean, you can watch film all you want, but to be up close and personal, see what these guys are like, you know, how they, even the little things too, of the way they act, the way they are, you know, moving around and stuff, if their effort is good. I mean, all these little things probably matter so much because you don't want to recruit a guy that is, you know, not going to be 100% all in on, you know, what he's doing, which, I mean, obviously these guys are trying, these high school guys are trying to solidify their futures here very soon. So,
Sure.
I mean, I think it's a really important time for these coaches to see what these recruits can do, but also for these recruits that maybe aren't on the full radar of college coaches yet to kind of show what they can do.
Yeah, and speaking of recruiting, and Wes and Chris are on top of all that, kind of taking a look as, you know, of course, we have a very promising 2025 class coming in. Where South Carolina stands as of right now when it comes to 2026, 30th right now. So they're still, and pretty light so far in terms of overall commitments. This is per On3's, you know, industry rankings in terms of the teams themselves. Only 5 total commits as of right now. Southern Cal leading the way in the class of 26 with 27 total commits. So again, South Carolina still has work to do in terms of getting guys to commit, though. There's a lot of guys, and you can read Wes and Chris's you know, analysis on this on Gamecock Central that feel like they're in good shape with and hopefully close to getting some commitments from.
And they've got some good pieces from this 2026 class so far. They've done a really nice job so far of recruiting in state, and obviously the one exception to that is Keenan Britt, who is from Alabama. And I notice here, you know, you got 2 Rock Hill guys with, you know, Javion Currents from South Point and also his teammate, Anthony Baxter. So that is you know, that's a good spot that South Carolina has done a very nice job recruiting for, I mean, decades now, with obviously going back to Clowney and Stephon Gilmore and stuff. But now, I mean, you're getting guys like, you know, some of these guys here for 2026 and beyond, and obviously they've had a few other guys like Judge Colliers from Rock Hill and stuff. So a lot of nice pieces from Football City.
So again, we'll try and get Wes, I guess tomorrow, get his take on what's going on there at camp, and you can read all the write-ups and everything as the day goes along on GamecockCentral.com. We'll dive back into some stuff going on around the SEC. Kalen DeBoer still living under Nick Saban's shadow. Paul Feinbaum has some thoughts on that. We'll talk about it coming up next. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on the game. All right, welcome back in. It is the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler and Jack along with you here on your Thursday. We tried to talk to Wes, and the phone lines didn't want to let us do that. I checked it in the break. I called in, and it let me through, so I don't know what the deal with Wes is. Maybe he doesn't like his phone.
Yeah, maybe not. Maybe they don't have great service over there at the football facility.
I feel like would they be indoors or outdoors today?
I saw a picture, I think, with live updates from Wes. They were indoor. So, I mean, look, I've been to the indoor plenty of times now. I mean, I'm just messing. The service is pretty good there,
Yeah.
but maybe today's the day where it's just not
Maybe
working.
so.
Or maybe he's busy. I don't know.
Well, again, you can read on Gamecock Central. We'll talk to him about it tomorrow and get all of his thoughts on what goes down on Camp Day. It hasn't started yet. It starts at 12, so the action hasn't quite gotten rolling just yet. Want to look around the rest of the SEC here, and we focused a lot here lately on South Carolina's opponents for this year, and if you would ask the majority of people what's perhaps the biggest home game this upcoming season, maybe outside of Clemson, I think a lot of people are going to circle when Alabama comes to town for homecoming of all things, coming up in the middle of of October, and that game is one that I feel like compared to a year ago doesn't feel as scary. Now, again, Alabama's still a very good team. Alabama's still a very talented team. But I think what people saw out of year one under Kalen DeBoer makes them a little less scared of the dynasty that is Alabama.
Absolutely. I mean, look, that game last year, it felt like Alabama was going to run away with it early. And then, again, some mistakes that Bama made kind of near the end of the first half let South Carolina back in that game. And you're like, okay, they've got a chance here. And, of course, they take it down to the wire and nearly had a chance to win that game against the Tide in Bryant-Denny. And, you look at how Alabama ended up turning out. They got, beat pretty badly by a bad Oklahoma team that South Carolina killed. And then they lost in the bowl game to Michigan. So this year, expectations are going to be high for the Crimson. They have to be. I mean, you have to be able to make the playoff this year if you're Kalen DeBoer. Otherwise, I mean, I don't know what the discussions look like at the end of the season, if it's anywhere similar to this past year. But playing South Carolina midseason, it's at Willie B. I would imagine that's a night game. I mean, that's a game that a lot of people, like you said, are going to have circled on their calendars.
And Paul Feinbaum was on Get Up yesterday, and of course, anytime he's on one of these national shows, the topics of Texas and Alabama and Ohio State and all these kind of teams are kind of at the forefront, and was asked the question about if, he still thinks that Kalen DeBoer is being cast over by Nick Saban's shadow there in Tuscaloosa. And here's what Feinbaum had to say.
They were not happy with the end of last season, and Kalen DeBoer, they believe right this second is going to get them to the playoffs. But the problem is the shadow of Nick Saban. Greeny, I was at an event 2 weeks ago in Birmingham that DeBoer and Nick Saban were both playing golf at this Pro-Am, and DeBoer looked like a Lily Putin compared to Nick Saban. He sucked all the oxygen out of the room in interviews and everything, and as long as Nick Saban is around, Kalen DeBoer will be compared to him, and it won't be a good look.
And you're right. I think Alabama, at the very least, has to get themselves back to the college football playoff because, especially in an expanded field, missing it 2 years in a 12-team format, largely unacceptable for the people out there in Tuscaloosa. But I think it's got to be more than that. I mean, I really think let's put out the scenario here. Let's say Alabama gets in as one of the last at-large seeds, to where they're having to go on the road for their first round game and they lose, I don't know, to Penn State in the first round in a, 5-12 matchup. That's still not acceptable to people down there in Tuscaloosa, right? That would still be seen as a significant downgrade to where the last Saban team was playing in the semifinals with a chance in overtime to go to the national championship.
Yeah, I mean, that's the thing. And, I mean, look, it took Nick, 3 years to win a national championship. So,
yeah, but and you know what? I'm really glad. Finish your thought, but I'm really glad you brought that up.
Well, also, number one, we have to consider the times were different with Alabama because Alabama was going through a lot of NCAA issues. The team just was not super good. They were good in 2005, I think, but other than that, they were not very good. And then also, I mean, 07 was not a good year. I mean, they lost to Louisiana Monroe, and then 08 they become great, win the or lose to Florida in the SEC title game, and then they lose in the Sugar Bowl, and then they obviously 2009 win a national championship. So it takes time. I think people probably forget that, but like also you see what Nick's done over his career at Alabama. It's like you expect this thing to continue, but it just last year was not up to the standard that people expect.
And it's not fair that everything that he does is going to get compared to Nick Saban, because again, Nick Saban is the greatest college football coach we've ever seen. Nobody's going to accomplish what he accomplished over his career ever again. And I say that with a lot of confidence. But again, when you take over for the guy, guess what? You're going to be the direct comparison. There was always that thing about you never want to be the guy after the guy, because it was always held like, oh, would Dabo Swinney go to Alabama after Nick Saban retires? No, but he might go after the second guy gets fired.
Yeah.
Like, if Alabama comes calling after the DeBoer experiment doesn't work out, I could totally see them saying, hey, Dabo, come coach us and get us back to national prominence. I don't know if that's going to happen or not, but it's very plausible.
I'd be very interested to see if, let's say, DeBoer does not make it. Like we talked about like 2 hours ago, talking about is DeBoer going to make it to 2029? Let's say he doesn't. I mean, how much more interest is there in coming to Alabama rather than like a lot of the guys that were involved the first time, big names like, Dan Lanning and obviously Dabo and other coaches like that. I mean, those guys obviously did not get the job or did not want to take the job. I mean, there's a lot of pressure that comes with being the guy after Saban. But like you said, would it be more enticing to be the guy after DeBoer?
I think so.
Saban? I think so.
Because there's less pressure on you. You're looked as somebody that is not inheriting a Ferrari. You're inheriting a Ferrari with a lot of dings and scratches on it that you have to mend back to being the high-end luxury vehicle that it once was. And again, I think Kalen DeBoer is a very good coach. His track record speaks for itself. He's won and had success literally everywhere, all the way up to playing for a national championship with a much less talented Washington team than what they went up against in Michigan, obviously losing that game and then becoming the Alabama coach a couple days later. But you mentioned the trajectory of Saban when he got there. 7-6 first year, famously lost to UL Monroe and played in the Independence Bowl that year. The next year, they played for the SEC championship game and made the Sugar Bowl. They made a significant jump from year one to year two. And again, completely different era of college football, completely different coach that we're talking about. But I think that's where people look at it and say, okay, first year wasn't great, 9-4. Again, a lot of programs will kill for that. Saban made a big jump in year number 2. If you can't do that, can we believe in you and our coach going forward?
What would be, I know we're talking about Alabama fans here, and we don't know the full extent of what is acceptable and what's not. What's acceptable is a national championship. Realistically, though, what is acceptable from our standpoint for year number 2 with Kalen DeBoer?
To get pressure off of him to where people are like, okay, we're cool.
Like, besides making the playoff, like, what else? Like, how many wins? Do they need to make the SEC title game? Like, what are we talking about here?
I think you have to win at least 10 games in the regular season, be 10-2. And that if you're 10-2 in the SEC, you're an undeniable playoff team. I think we can all agree with that.
Easily.
Which that's probably going to put you somewhere around anywhere between maybe a 3 to 6 seed. So at the very least, you're hosting 10 wins. You're hosting the first round of the playoffs. You win that game, obviously. And, I mean, really, from a standard standpoint, I feel like at least making it to the semifinals.
I think that's probably realistic.
That is a deep run in the playoff for Alabama in year 2 under Kalen DeBoer, to where, again, I think a lot of people would still be upset that he doesn't win the whole thing, but I think a lot of people would say, okay, that's a significant step forward. We'll see what happens, in the years to come.
And I think the other thing that Alabama fans are probably so used to is obviously the fact that Nick won so many national championships with the Tide, but also how he was able to get them, a lot different versus now. I mean, he won, 3 in the BCS era.
Yep.
So 09, 11, 12. That was 2 teams playing for a national championship. That's it. No playoff. Then you get to the expanded playoff with the 4 teams. I mean, he loses his first year to Ohio State in the Sugar Bowl, and then he eventually beats Clemson. But he also lost a handful of playoff games, national championships. So for Kalen, I mean, look, going on a deep run is kind of the equivalent of going to play for a national championship if it were the previous era.
I think a lot of it also has to do with keeping national prominence. And again, Alabama is always going to be a big brand, but get this, under Nick Saban, they never went more than 3 years without playing for a national championship. His first 2 years went to the Independence of the Sugar Bowl, played for the national championship, and won it third year. Capital One Bowl the next year, back-to-back national championships. 2 Sugar Bowls, won the national championship. Played for the national championship and lost, won the national championship. Played for one and lost. Citrus Bowl, back-to-back national championships, winning one of those. And then Sugar and Rose Bowl to close things out. So they have never gone in the past almost 20 years, 3 straight years without reaching the national championship game. So again, you're in uncharted waters. And again, I don't think you have to get there all the way this season, but at least showing yourself as a legitimate playoff team that can go deep in this thing, I think is what people need to see in Tuscaloosa.
And there's a lot of talent on this team. Like, they did a very good job of keeping pretty much everyone in the transfer pool. I think when we talked to Charlie Potter from Bama Online about a month ago, I mean, he was saying that Bama didn't lose anybody in the portal, which is kind of crazy to think about in this day and age. So the fact that that happened and a lot of good players are returning to the Crimson Tide for another season. I know quarterback's going to be a big question this year with Ty Simpson starting this year. But, like, if it works, this could be a team that is very much in the hunt for not just a college football playoff, but potentially going to compete for a national title.
And once again, going to be one of the bigger storylines of college football this upcoming season. Jack, we have a job to do coming up next. We got to figure out where to put the Bahamas Bowl because they can't play it in the Bahamas this year. We'll do that coming up next. It is the Extra Point. It's not the Extra Point. It's the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour. Another one for the jar. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler and Jack on your Thursday on the game. Welcome back in. Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs. Tyler and Jack wrapping up the show today. As I mentioned a moment ago, we have a job to do because Brett McMurphy yesterday of the Action Network tweeted out the Bahamas Bowl will not be held in Bahamas this year. It'll be played this season at a site yet to be determined. Second time in 3 years the game was moved. If you remember back in 2023, known as the famous Toastery Bowl and played up in Charlotte, I believe Old Dominion, Western Kentucky.
That was a crazy game, too, if I remember correctly.
Because we had to go back and look at that because that was the last time we'd seen Old Dominion.
That's right.
Prior to them playing South Carolina. But think about this, because like the Bahamas Bowl, again, for a group of 5 teams. And when we talk about group of 5 bowls, I think that's one that people look as one of the more special because, hey, congratulations, you went, 8-4 in the MAC or, 7-5 in Conference USA, but you're going to get to go to the Bahamas around Christmas and play a bowl game. Like, that's neat, right? Imagine the disappointment if you're playing in Charlotte, North Carolina. No disrespect to Charlotte. It's not the Bahamas, though, knowing you could have been in the Bahamas qualifying for that game.
Oh, yeah. And 2 years ago, the reason why the game had been moved to Charlotte is because there were renovations going on in Nassau. So they had to move to Jerry Richardson Stadium, which is home of UNC Charlotte. So you're not getting, and that's the other thing, you're not getting to play at Bank of America Stadium.
Nope.
Home of the Panthers. That's for the Dukes Mayo Bowl. So
the prestigious Dukes Mayo Bowl.
Yeah, the prestigious Dukes Mayo Bowl. So, yeah, go ahead.
And there's not a reason given for why this is being moved this year. It's just not being played in the Bahamas for some reason.
That's unfortunate.
My question is, what is the most anti-Bahamas place this game could be played? Because, again, Bahamas, tropical paradise. It's like 85 degrees. The sun is shining, real chilled, laid-back vibes. What is the opposite? Where could we take the Bahamas Bowl that is the complete opposite of the Bahamas?
Alaska.
Okay. Now, do we have a college football stadium in Alaska?
That's a good question. Do they even play football in Alaska?
They have that, I think, is it University of Anchorage? I think they do have some college football up there.
See. Well, I'm looking up on Reddit right now. There's apparently a storied history of football in Alaska. So
okay, I mean, it's a U.S. state, so they got to have some.
Yeah.
I know there's like high school fields next to like frozen oceans and stuff like that.
Oh yeah.
So yeah,
it's very much possible.
I was maybe like Boise. No. You know what? Kibby Dome. Take the Bahamas Bowl to the Kibby Dome.
Oh.
Play it indoors in December when there's probably like 3 feet of snow outside.
Oh, yeah.
In a venue that looks like a high school gym.
Oh, my gosh. I think that would be so funny, to be honest. But, I mean, look, playing it in Charlotte, it's not like the worst thing. It's just, but you're right, though. It's like you work all hard all season. And Charlotte's nice, but, like, you get to go to the Bahamas and you're like, oh, man, we're going to get to go to the beach and stuff. But, nah, you got to go to Charlotte, North Carolina.
I think if the group of 5 ever creates its own playoff, that's where their national championship should be.
Oh, easily.
I think they should play a national championship in the Bahamas.
You know what they should do, honestly? There's already a bowl game out in Hawaii.
True. Hey,
move it to Hawaii.
The Hawaii Bowl being which, by the way, they still play it like it's like a community college stadium now.
Well, they used to play at Aloha Stadium, but they demolished it
because it wasn't suitable for people to be in anymore. So they play it like a community college stadium.
Which is where Hawaii plays, right?
It is where Hawaii plays.
Yeah, so gosh, I'll never forget watching Hawaii and Vanderbilt going at it. What looked like a random soccer complex or something. I mean, it was just crazy. But that would probably be a nice alternative. But
yeah,
I mean, obviously that's not the direction. So they haven't announced where this thing's going.
But so many options. Somewhere cold would be hilarious because
that
again,
would be
the 180 from the Bahamas itself.
I like Kibby Dome. Let's do it.
Let's get the petition going. Bahamas Bowl to the Kibby Dome. All right, Jack, appreciate you hanging out. We got 2 shows due tomorrow as well. Go get yourself some sleep.
4 hours tomorrow. Let's do it.
All right, halftime show of myself and Demetri Ravanos coming up next. This has been the Gamecock Central Takeover Hour presented by Firehouse Subs here on the game.